Hey everybody, Wendy Devereaux here. Welcome to my channel. If you would like to see how I made this piece with a matting effect, then please keep watching. I came up with another idea for a painting. When I was in Michaels, I was walking by the area that does all the framing and I noticed all of the matting that they had. And I thought it would be really neat to have a piece that looked like it was framed with an oval shaped matting. And that's what I'm going to do today. And my colors are silvers and whites. I will leave a complete list of all my items in my description box, and I will point them out as I'm putting them on my canvas. I will just point out a couple of them right now. I have a white Spin It brand glitter from Michaels. I just have it in a shaker bottle here. And this is another new one that I have. It's a specialty glitter, Recollections. It's silver, and it reminds me of Silverleaf, and I thought that would look really pretty in this. And I am going to be using my Bling extra fine glitter. It has just a little bit of color to it. And my clear crushed filler glass, my mini mirror tiles, my paints are white and silver. And I have this dollar store silver bowl. I'm using this as my oval template to make my oval template with some printer paper. And my canvas is an 18-inch by 24-inch. So yeah, you guys, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is cut out my oval. And this is just plain printer paper, and I'm going to set it on my canvas so that I can figure out what size I need. And I have no Scotch tape, so I'm just going to use some painter's tape here. This is about the size that I want. You know, if you have a lid at home or a serving platter or whatever, you can use it as well. I just need something round. Let's see if this is going to work. If it doesn't, I can turn this piece of paper over and start over again. First, I'm going to outline my circle. Okay, that's about the same. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm overlapping it, and now this distance here, I want it to be this. I don't know if this matters, but I think it might. So I'm just making sure that they're the same distance. I know this way it will. And I think that will be good. Okay, so then you should end up with something that looks like this. Then I'm just eyeballing, like you could use a compass and do all kinds of fancy things, but I'm not, one thing, I don't have a compass. So I'm going to start, I would say about here. I'm going to put a mark here. I'm going to come down my paper here, about like this, maybe about this. I would say about that's, you want the same distance here as you do here, okay, approximately. And I'm just going to come down with my finger and go like that, and that's about the same distance. Then I'm just going to start bringing this over. to start coming down faster than that. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And I think that's going to be good. And now I am going to cut it out. But I think I better put a little piece of tape right here with these, where these pieces of paper are lining up here. There's my oval. So this is where my crushed glass and glitter is going to be. And then this is going to be my silver matting all the way around. So I think that's going to look pretty sharp. Okay, I'm just going to put a base coat of my DecoArt white on here. I find that when I use the thicker paints, it's easier if I paint them over top an already painted canvas. So just gonna go ahead, and I've had this white for quite some time, so I don't know what kind of shape it's in. I may find that I get some clumps. And I'm just gonna spritz my brush here with a little water. Just helps, it helps the paint flow on the canvas, on a dry canvas. Yeah, see there's some clumps in there, but that's okay. I can deal with those. Now I'm not going to bother with my sides because I'm going to be painting my sides in silver. Okay, so my base coat of white is all dry, and now I want to paint the inside, my oval. And for now, because I'm going to be painting the perimeter, my matting, in just silver, I don't have to go all the way up with my paint in the middle. So all I'm going to do is place it approximately where I'm going to need it as a guide. And I'm just going to make a couple of little marks just so I can keep track when I'm painting the oval part. I'm going to be using my titanium white, and I'm going to be using my silver acrylique, just a little bit of it, and I put it in an applicator bottle because I'm thinking that it will come out of it a lot easier than that big bottle for what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and make some straight lines with my titanium white. And first, I just want to get a quick couple of brush strokes here with my white. Okay, now I'm just going to, I'll start up here, just come down my canvas with a little of the silver. I'm not worried about this center part because that's going to be completely covered in crushed glass and glitter. Okay, the paint is all dry inside my oval, and now I need to outline my template, oval template, around my canvas. I'm just going to measure it and make sure that it's the same. And I'm just going to tape it in place so it doesn't move on me. And then outline my oval with the pencil. Okay, and now I'm going to paint my matting area in my silver metallic acrylique. Okay, I'm going to end up putting 2 coats on, but what I do know is I want to fan out my brush strokes like this. So I'm going to do it even with my first coat. Okay, so I have a couple of coats of my silver metallic for my matting, and I've noticed that where I stopped when I was painting my oval, and I stopped because I didn't want to paint, I didn't want to use paint all the way around. Not a good idea, because I can see where I stopped with my paintbrush. And I think that's because my titanium Liquitex is a thicker paint. So the next time I do something like this, and if you guys do something like this, paint your whole canvas in whatever you're doing your oval. And then that way you're not going to end up with marks. It's very faint, but I can see it now, and I don't like it. And then that way you're not going to end up with those marks, right? So I think I have a solution to kind of take away from that a little bit. I've got my Bling extra fine glitter, and I'm going to add some in my bowl here because I don't want to shake it right out of the shaker, because otherwise I'm going to get too much on my canvas. I'm just going to put it between my fingers, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. So I had wrapped up my brush, and I'm going to add some glitter I'm going to add some glitter while my paint is still wet, and then my glitter will dry in with the paint. And I think that will take away some of that. It'll camouflage it a bit, right? So I'm just going to put some glitter in my fingers here, in between my fingers, and come up nice and high and just rub my finger and my thumb together and let some of this glitter fall on my paint while it's still wet. I only want a little bit of this on the matting part. Okay, so my paint is all dry and I have vacuumed off the excess glitter, and I think that worked pretty well. It kind of camouflages where those brush strokes were that I wasn't happy with. And now the next thing that I need to do is put on my mini mirror tile frame. And I get my mini mirror tiles from my local Dollarama, but you can buy mini mirror tiles off of Amazon. There are all kinds of suppliers on there. And I think for this particular piece, I'm gonna go with a row of 3. They're very easy to work with. You just bend them, use a little X-Acto knife, and score them, just like that. So I'm going to bring my tiles in from the rounded edge and go all the way around my canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of my tiles out that I need, and I will bring you back. And for those of you who are new to my channel and haven't seen me apply these, I'll just give a quick demonstration on that. Okay, so I have all of my mini mirror tiles cut out. And another reason why I like bringing them in from the edge a bit is because I'm able to line them up perfectly so that I don't have any spaces. I'm going to be using some Tacky Glue. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. The adhesive on these mirror tiles from Dollarama have a really good adhesive backing. But because I have a little bit of glitter on here, I want to make sure that they're going to stay put. Okay, so I'm just going to start and just put a bead down my canvas here. And you just peel the backing off. And just place them down. Now, until I have all of my mini mirror tiles on all the way around, I am not going to press those down in case I have to move them around a little bit. Okay, and then before you press them down, if you have to shift them around a little bit, maybe line them up in the corners and stuff, just use a little craft stick or a ruler or something like that. These are lining up perfectly, and now you just take a little cloth of some sort and press them down. Okay, so the next step in this little operation is to add some crushed glass and glitter around the oval part, okay, just to camouflage the imperfection of it. And I want something a little jagged because if I were just to put glitter on there, it would be very difficult to have a perfect smooth outline of this. So I want something jagged, and I don't want it to pop out at me too much. So I'm just going to use my crushed glass along with a pure white glitter. So and I also want it about the width of my mini mirror tiles as well. So I'm going to just squeeze some liquid glass around my canvas here. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a small flat brush and just push it a bit to about the width that I want to get it. See what I mean? You can see how jagged it is. Like, it's really hard to get a nice smooth band, right? So I think I'm going to start with my glitter. I'm going to add some glitter in here. And then I'm going to go back with my white and really load it up. Okay, so I don't have to wait for this to dry before I do my center part. But I do want to kind of brush this loose stuff out of the way so I can have a better idea of how much crushed glass and glitter I want to put on the middle part here. So what I was thinking, because of this oval shape and it's going this way, I would have my icicles come down a lot further than I normally do and up further than I normally do, and then kind of gradually bring them to the edge. So that's my plan. Now I'm just going to pour my liquid glass right out of the jar here. So I think I'm going to start, this is where my piece of wood is underneath my canvas. Just going to start in the middle here and just bring a bead nice and straight. And I'm going to need more in the middle because that's where my longer icicle is going to be. And I'm going to use a sponge brush because I like this narrowing at the bottom. It makes for a nice peaky icicle. So just going to start pushing my liquid glass. And then I'll just come in between them with some shorter wispy ones. My liquid glass is starting to get gooey on me. I think I need to open a new jug. It's not flowing as nicely as it once did when it was a newer bottle. And I'm just going to push this over to the edge. I have a feeling I'm going to have to touch these edges up. I don't really want that. See the way this is rounded like that? I don't want that to look like that when it's dry. So I need to push my liquid glass down. Okay, I think I'm going to be okay with that. Now I'm going to add some of my Bling Recollections, and I'm going to start on the tips because my tips are drying out on me because it's gooey. I'm going to have to definitely open up a new bottle of liquid glass. And then this is my silver. Just going to put a little of this on. Oh, this is really, really pretty. Okay, and then I'm going to go back over it with my Bling Extra Fine and really load it up. Okay, so I am going to let that dry for probably about 4 or 5 hours. Okay, so this has been drying for about 3 hours, and I think it's okay for me to brush it off. I just can't wait any longer, so I'm going to start slowly, and if I find that it's still a little bit too spongy, I will stop. Let's just... Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, I'm just gonna brush it very gentle like. Okay, so this is brushed off and vacuumed off now, and I can see that I need to add some icicles just to the ends here. It was really hard to gauge when I had all the loose crushed glass and glitter for my oval, but I think I'm going to keep this space right here. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my liquid glass here in my applicator bottle. And just going to come up a little bit. See if I can actually make a peak without having to use my brush. This is just the brush off. There's a little bit of the white glitter in there as well, but I'm okay with that. Just... Okay, everybody, here's the finished look. I am so pleased with the way this turned out. It is beautiful. I really like that matting idea. And I'm really glad that that happened with my paint because I wasn't going to put any glitter on the matting part, but just that little hint of the bling. can just see the variation of color in it. It's gorgeous. Oh, this is so sparkly. And I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of that sparkle in there isn't just from the crushed glass, it's from that new silver glitter. Very pleased with this. And just a hint of the silver paint in there is perfect. Look at that sparkle. Wow. And I do like the space, that little bit of a space on either end. Leave me a comment, you guys. Let me know if you would end up filling this space in, or if you think leaving it like that is a way that you would like it. Oh, this is so beautiful, you guys. I'm definitely going to be doing this technique again. I'll do my matting in different designs though. Oh, it's so pretty. And I do like with this oval shape to do the icicles this way, longer in the middle, and they gradually get shorter at the end. Oh, this is so pretty. Yeah, you guys, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and you will be notified when I upload all my future videos. And as always, you guys, I so appreciate you taking the time to watch, and God bless.